So, Ryan, is this government totally out of touch with Ontario? Are they, do you think, making a good populist appeal here? And how does Hamilton deal with all of the different cuts and policy changes?
Sure. Well, the first thing I'd like to say is 3 years from now, when there's a provincial election, and I'm talking to every voter in Ontario, don't vote for a party if they don't have a platform. That should be a basic thing. Most, normally parties that don't have platforms are those sort of weird, obscure fringe parties, that are single issue. They've got candidates in 3 or 4 ridings. This was the party of Bill Davis at one time, and they literally ran to lead this government with no plan on how to do it. They had a mathematically impossible set of campaign promises. They were going to cut spending, they were going to cut taxes, they were going to balance the budget, and they weren't going to cost a single job.
And a buck of beer.
And a buck of beer, right? Of course,
Which
yeah.
Seems to be their sole narrative.
Sure. So we're left with, they're basically bulldozing their way through the provincial budget. They don't know what they're doing. They're not conducting long-term analysis on what the impacts of their cuts are going to be. And the entire thing is predicated, by the way, on the lie that Ontario had out-of-control spending. And I'm going to save some of that for my rant, but it's a lie.
But that's one of the reasons I wanted you here, because you were posting some charts
Sure,
on Twitter to try to inject a little bit of evidence into this debate.
Right. So on the day that the Conservatives were elected into power, Ontario had the lowest per capita revenue and the lowest per capita spending in Canada. $2,000 a year lower per person than the average. Could you imagine if we had an extra $2,000 per person? That's, 15 million people? That's like $30 billion a year that we could put towards covering all of the programs that need servicing. Instead, we get tax cuts for the rich, tax cuts for big corporations, and buck a beer, right? So I can walk into a convenience store at 9 o'clock in the morning, I can buy a beer, and I can drink it in the park. But children who have autism can't get the support they need.